Hello. Let's try this camera. Right, hello. Yo, Crisco. We're going to do a little Tactics Talk stream today. If you're in the YouTube, please do drop a like so we can start spread the stream from the get-go. But yeah, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat because we are going to be answering all your questions about the games, about the game, the Brighton game, more specifically today. Talk about a few of the tactical bits, and then I might get up a few pictures as well. If you haven't seen my video from yesterday, go check that out as well, because that gives you a lot of the sort of in-depth, analysis of the game and how Chelsea played through that Brighton high press. But I'll give it a minute for people to filter in. Please do type in the chat if you are here, just so I know, get a vague idea of who is here. And then we might go into something a bit different today, where I get up a bit of a slideshow and we sort of talk through a few of the different parts of the Brighton game that stood out to me, or at least the tactical sort of nuances of them. So we're rising up, we're about 60 viewers. Give it a couple more minutes. Please do drop a like straight away. As soon as you join, then you've done it, and it is done. Out of the way. Finito. Hey David, love the shows. What's up, my guy? Thank you very much. We've got some really good content coming this week, actually. I'm quite happy about this week's content. I've tried to sort of plan ahead and get some videos done in advance. So tomorrow we're going to have a hot takes video with... We're going to have a hot takes video with Matisse tomorrow. A video. So that's going to be great. I've really enjoyed recording that, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that one. Thursday, we'll obviously have a things we learned after the games. That'll be like a late night, evening upload after the game. And then on Friday, I am going to be doing a Cole Palmer specific video, because I think that it is important to talk about the genius that is Cole Palmer. Just dedicate him a whole video, because wow, speechless. Do you ever see Maresca drop a Madueke for Nkunku, Gusto high and wide, and Nkunku Palmer in half spaces? We saw him do it at the start of the season with Palmer on the right. I don't want Palmer out on the right wing. So for me, no. I think it's more likely we just continue to see Madueke and Neto. I think if anything, Nkunku is going to come into one of these two roles. Obviously, it won't be for Palmer, but like in terms of rotation and bits, more likely to see him on the left, if anything, but I just don't see it happening. I think Nkunku's going to get minutes as the striker, and he's going to get some minutes as sort of an 8/10 he'll start in the Conference League, won't he? So let's see where things go from there. But no, I don't think he'll drop. I think we're getting a lot of success from having these direct 1v1 wingers, and they're holding the width really well. What's good, Money Mikes? Welcome back. All right, mate. Follow you on Twitter/X. This is the first time I've caught you live. Welcome to the channel, James. Do you mean that so is this the first time you've come onto my YouTube at all, or is this or do you watch the videos but just haven't seen the streams? If that never changes, I don't see him staying long term. Yeah, it's difficult to tell. It's difficult to tell how sort of like what role he's happy with. Obviously, it just depends. If he keeps bagging goals off the bench, and then if in his starts, like a hat trick against Barrow, if he goes and scores a few against Ghent on Thursday, gets another one off the bench at some point in the next few weeks to win a big Premier League game, then it's tough. It's tough, but it's a good problem to have right now that all of our attackers are in such good form, and even if they're not in like the best sort of form, in terms of like goals and assists and like output, even just their sort of impact on the game. So like a Madueke in recent weeks, he's still been doing a lot of what I think is important for a Maresca winger. It's just the output has disappeared, obviously, a little bit since that Wolves game where he got the hat trick. But I've still been extremely happy with his output. Not his output, his performances in the games. Tend to watch all the videos. Haven't seen you stream. Looking forward to it. Let's go, James. Hopefully we can have a good little, maybe half hour, 45-minute stream today, just talking about the Brighton game. But yeah, glad to have you in the stream. Do you think Maresca would actually be happy with the Brighton performance? He said the 5-0 of Southampton when at Leicester was their worst performance, they failed to control the possession. Got a similar vibe with this game, like control but deadly counter with quality. Yeah, and I really think at this point, I'm exceptionally happy with Maresca. Like I advocated for him to join when we first were linked. I wanted him. I'm happy with how things are going. I think he's shown a lot of different attributes that we hadn't already seen, or at least a lot of Chelsea fans hadn't already seen. I did touch on it in my preview when I did the Maresca joining the club and like my whole like manager breakdown on him. So you can go watch that and see how much of it is relevant now because it is pretty much all coming to fruition. Um, a lot of it anyway. But we haven't seen the full extent of his controlled possession build up at all. We've seen it like Palace worked really well, and but even then, like we tweaked the build up shapes. We went sort of into a four with Casado dropping into the back line to sort of create those overloads in all three phases. Against Bournemouth, again we looked slightly more toothless, but we did control the ball better, and eventually we ended up getting the win from that. And then against West Ham and against Brighton, you've seen a game where we haven't actually controlled the ball as much, but we've managed to lure them deep, and then we've still managed to connect our patterns in these deeper areas of the pitch, find sort of either one of say Enzo out here, or especially at the weekend Palmer out in this role, and that's when we can sort of hit them teams over the top with the threat that we had. Did it against West Ham with Jackson, a few through balls into him, getting on the back on the front foot, and the same against Brighton. We was able to really exploit that high line. So I think what we're seeing is a good level of preparation for each game, and the fact that we can approach each game differently, I think, is a really strong suit because I still think that there's a lot to see in terms of style and implementation from what Maresca's doing. So I hope that answers your question. I don't think he'll be disappointed from the Brighton performance at all. I think we'll be happy that we sort of executed the game plan efficiently. But there's definitely more to come. I think we're building a squad of major buy-in. I don't think anyone's place is certain. I think as we progress, training is going to be super intense and it'll make better players. Yeah, and I think the competition for places is brilliant. Like even Colwell, who's for me has been our second best player behind obviously Palmer. So it'll probably be Palmer, Colwell, and Casado for me, top three. Um, and Colwell's even saying like he's got to like stay on his toes and he's got to make sure he's performing because as much as some of us have been disappointed with some of Badiashiel's performances, especially last season, Maresca seems to like him. He said in his press conference that he's training really well, and it's just a shame that he can't get into the Premier League squad. But he's starting obviously the domestic and European games. So yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. It will test people, and it's what makes the best clubs sort of thrive. And you see improvement across the whole pitch. And I think we've created a group now where they're all going to push each other, and I think it's just going to excel everybody's growth alongside each other, which is brilliant. Lavia and Enzo or Lavia and Casado. I think each different midfield is better for different things. I think we'll still see at times a Lavia, Enzo, and Casado in the big games, maybe against like an Arsenal or a City away, like we did at the start of the season. I think we will see that with all three still, and I do think it can work really effectively with if you like play it to the exact game plan that is needed. In terms of other games, I don't know. It's tough. Like I think Casado's so important this season of how he's started. Lavia's coming back. With those three midfielders, I'm almost happy with any configuration of them based on the game. I think it is purely going to be based on how we're going to set up for that exact game, which I love because it just makes it gives Maresca those extra options to sort of change things up, keep minutes fresh, protect Lavia a little bit, who's been the worst for minutes out of those guys, struggling from a few injuries, so you can protect him a little bit. So yeah, that's how I sort of am on those. But the midfielders, for me, I'm not worried about any of the three at all. What and where did you study at uni? So I studied at Cambridge. I did sport and exercise science, sports coaching. Was like my major. Was like my major. And then I did my dissertation on what do you call it? Performance analysis. So then I worked in a few clubs, did some analysis for them, like sort of learned about that. And then I decided instead of going down the route of going into a club to work as an analyst, I wanted to sort of take it to the content side of things. So I started doing writing, for like different outlets, and obviously I've started my YouTube, and I'm working with a few people at the minute that I'm really enjoying working with. So yeah, we're just trying to take it from there and continue our growth, but at the same time I want to continue the progression of my channel alongside other work that I'm doing, so like a lot of other written work that I do. So it can all help, because everything I do in my day is football related. I'm either writing about football, I'm either watching football to like take notes for tactics and things. I'm either scouting. I'm like, all these little things. Like it's all helping me towards my YouTube channel as well. So I'm hoping to just mesh everything together, continue to build this community, which I'm really actually proud of this year. The growth that we've had on this channel, I really want to hit 5K by the end of the year. I think that would be a ridiculous milestone for me, because my aim at the start of the year was to hit 1K, and we're on nearly 3K now. So really good, and I just really want to take it to that next level. So yeah, all your support, all your likes, everything, every comment, every like on every single video helps more than you can imagine. So please do continue to smash the like button every time you're in the stream, every time you see a video, as I really do appreciate it. Thought Enzo looked solid for the Brighton game. I did as well. I think, like I say, we're sort of exploiting these little pockets of space to as almost the trigger points as when to. There's actually Palmer coming in here. This was almost the trigger of these guys to get this. These guys to make those runs, and it was like first time passes from Palmer or Enzo in those zones. And again, if it was Enzo, Palmer would be joining. If it was Palmer, Enzo would be sort of joining. But yeah, that the trigger point of that and the way that they worked on that and the execution of it was perfect, and that we saw the goals come from it. And we was clinical in those chances. The brilliance of Palmer, everything just sort of came together, and I was very happy with the performance, to be honest with you. Let's try something different. Keep your questions coming in, by the way, if you have any. We're gonna try. Let me try this. Stop screen. Share screen. Can everybody see this okay? Just wanted to go through a few sort of like screenshots. Hello, Connor. Just started watching. Don't know if you've mentioned anything about this. Is there a starting XI which can include Lavia, Palmer, Enzo, Casado? A diamond would work. I just don't think you get the necessary width, but there's definitely a way of starting them all. But unfortunately, it would be Palmer starting on the right, which is why I only think it would happen against top sides like a Man City or an Arsenal away, so that you can put Palmer on the right and he can drift inside, and you can have late runs from right back from Gusto, and then you can have Lavia Casado as a double pivot with Enzo sort of like drifting and sort of linking the lines, more like a very sort of 4-3-3 that stays quite 4-3-3 with Palmer and Enzo sort of linking the lines. When you know you can have a little bit less of the ball and you're looking to protect that middle of the pitch with Enzo and Lavia, because you've got two really good central sort of defence mechanisms in them too. So yeah, that's sort of how I feel about that. So it's definitely possible, maybe not optimal. Nice, you can see it. Did we force Brighton and West Ham to play the way they did, or were they bad on the day? A bit of both. I think they were poor on the day. I don't think Brighton were actually that bad. I think they made a few mistakes, but so did we. I think West Ham were really poor to start the game, and it gave us that momentum to shift quite quickly. But yeah, we made them look bad as well, because we played to the game plan in both games was perfect. Like I said, the West Ham game for me, the reason we sat deeper is because you wanted to cut off those spaces for Kudus and Bowen to get into. So by sitting deeper and barely inverting the fullback, by allowing us to sit a little bit deeper, it sort of kept things tight and didn't allow Kudus or Bowen the space into those channels. And then when we did break out and play, we sort of made our way through the lines and we scored the goals from there. That was how we beat West Ham. And then Brighton again, we sort of sat a little bit deeper, but not deeper. More so just that the possession was meaningful rather than just sort of controlling. And we sort of sucked them in, and again, then we hit them on the break and looked to play over the top of that that high line, which again, it was mentioned in the interviews after from Maresca. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant sign. It's actually good that teams press us and play a high line. I do. There's going to be a lot of low blocks. I think Nottingham Forest this weekend is going to be one that's very interesting. So keep an eye out for that one. We'll discuss that at the weekend. But again, like the next two games are going to be interesting this week. I think they're going to throw up different challenges. Hello, mate. Obviously, you're biased, but should Palmer be in the England starting XI now? I just think it's so hard not to be right because he. Again, I'm going to discuss it. I'm making a video that is going to come out Friday, and it's going to ruffle feathers. But I have to. I have to make it because I'm not saying he is because there's a long way to go and there's a lot more he has to do. In like he really has to sort of carry Chelsea to something. I just feel like he got to be in the conversation for the best player in the league right now. He got to be. The numbers, the like his individual metrics, his impact on games, just the things he does is just everything. It's everything. The culmination of everything he does is just we have to have that discussion. We have to have that discussion at some point, which is what I'm going to do on Friday, and probably get a lot of pelters from rival fans. But what's the point if we're not going to live on the edge a little bit? Have some fun with it. Arsenal couldn't tear through Brighton with 11. Oh, with it. Oh, okay, yeah, with 11 like we did. Yeah, it was a different game, wasn't it? Impressive. Hope we continue to evolve. I think we will, absolutely. Enzo said Brighton surprised them in build-up. Do you think it's because they dropped Stupinine into a back three build-up? I think he said more in the press as well. But I think it was because they packed the thing that was surprising is that they played Vifer and Baliba together. And it's sort of like they had a lot more central aggression in that sense, both in the press and out of possession, in and out of possession. They had a little bit more central aggression. So yeah, I think that was what sort of stunted him a little bit. Do you think Forest could go over the back five against us? Trying to think off the top of my head. I haven't worked on Forest since 2-3 weeks ago. I'll have a preview out. Do I think they could? Maybe, but it's very like I said, I haven't really. I need to go back and look over their. I didn't watch their last game because they were unbeaten up until last game. Can't think who they lost to this week. But yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know before the game. You flip it and think if we somehow signed KDB and had that performance, everyone would say best. Yeah, he's like I say, we have to have it. We have to have the conversation. Enzo Maresca said in his interview that Brighton surprised us and we're playing through our press, so we had to adjust his tactics. Yeah, he said he changed the press for sure. Yeah, like I say, I think that we tried to play like. I mean, let's get into this because this sort of helps us to describe that. This first slide is basically how we pressed in that game for the get go. So we had Palmer and Jackson obviously sort of like on the edge of their box, ready to go man for man with the two centre backs, and Jackson again, he's going to cut off that sort of side of the pitch against the goalkeeper. Enzo playing higher with the two wingers, and then you had Casado sort of dropping off behind. So you sort of have that 2-3-1 sort of diamond. You saw this a lot in the Euros actually from a lot of teams. But I think how Brighton were playing with having Baleba sort of play on Sancho's side at times as well, and then sort of drop into that pocket. It was sort of dragging Casado and Enzo further apart, and it was making those spaces for the likes of Vifer and Baliba to just sort of like win their duels. And Baliba being such a beast, really, he was just able to eat up that ground between the two of them, and it was just a little bit too expanded. So I think what we did a little bit differently in the second half is just sort of drop Palmer off a little bit of Jackson at times to sort of cover Vifer's shadow a little bit better, and have Enzo drop a little bit deeper to again tighten that gap with Casado. This was during the first play out from the back. Not the first, but one of the ones I had. Again, Casado dropping into the pocket to link play. I did touch on this in my preview. I think Casado would be seen. Yes, we saw Gusto invert, but I did say in the preview, like I think he'll invert more. I sort of put it as it'll be a little bit more subtle as he's trying to sort of attach to Matoma, and we're going to touch on that in a second. Because the idea essentially was to bring Matoma infield to really widen up that space for Madueke on that right-hand side, and Palmer, if he like drifts out there, to find that gap where we then play over the top, again, as we touched on earlier. So here's an example of pretty much of that. If you look at Gusto and Matoma's positioning here, he's sort of dragged him infield. So this ball is technically on. Yes, it's not the easiest ball because, again, he's going to have to cut onto his other foot and sort of get it out because this is Fofana. who's going to have to sort of chop on and get it into this gap. But what this offers is, like I say, the space for that pass is there, and you've dragged them very narrow. This four in midfield. So Palmer can also arrive in this gap too, behind Matoma, who doesn't have a lot about him, and then that gives Estepin, who doesn't have a lot of intel where he is. That gives Estepinian a decision to make. Does he go with Palmer into this space, or does he follow Madueke over the top? And just the way we're sort of like dragging the strings around, very much centered around Gusto's movement. Again, look at this. Casado in more of a central pivot position, a staggered height, quite a big distance. But again, can Matoma attach to him? If he does, can we get it to Fafana? Can we get it to move it on one more to Madueke? If he follows him all the way inside, can we drive that down that side of the pitch? If he doesn't, can we find Gusto on the half turn, which I think he does here? No, he doesn't. He did it later in the game though. Again, just Cole will be able to split the lines. Gusto, Matoma following Gusto inside. Yes, it is very like this one's a little bit different because it's very highly sort of like over that left side of the pitch. So it's quite obvious that Matoma is going to come inside further. That's quite natural. But again, just having that attachment there and having Gusto sort of know that his movement is going to drag Matoma is constantly making space for other players. And it makes it difficult to watch. This is what we were talking about earlier. So this is the first Palmer. This is where he hit the post. Again, getting in this area of space here, and then that's the trigger for one runner, two runner, three runner. Even Sancho, like he's there if he wants to go. So that's the trigger point for the runners. And again, it worked here perfectly. Palmer nearly scored that would have been a beautiful goal as well. Just the touch through on goal. Even just the way he took the shot, just arrogance, like the ball manipulation to take that shot was brilliant. Again, literally the same thing. Pocket space, runner. That's the trigger. That's the trigger. We get it into this space every time. Maresca says, right, if Enzo gets the ball here or Palmer gets the ball here, that's the trigger. Let's go. Players over the top. Run. Hi, Daniel Knight. Welcome to the stream. Always good to have you back. So, and I think this is what I mean when I say I think we did really well in that sense. Here's the build-up pattern again, like you can see. Casado deep. Gusto staggered. Where does Matoma go? If he goes to Fafana, Gusto's free. This might actually be the one where he takes it on the half turn that I was just talking about. But yeah, I think I don't know if it was. No, it wasn't. Oh yeah, no, it might have been. Not sure. I should probably have annotated this so that I knew. But again, we get the ball into here, and again, Madueke is right on the shoulder. Can he get the running behind? Yes. Here we go again. This is actually the sort of like more deeper with Enzo coming in, that sort of De Zerbi-esque build up with the 4-2-4. Split centre backs with the goalkeeper. Cucurella's here. Gusto sort of like right out on. Oh, you can see him here. I can't see him through my other monitor, but you can just about see him here. And then Casado and Enzo centre of the pitch. Again, something I think we've actually really progressed with this season is that shape. I've loved seeing it because I think it gets the best out of Enzo and Casado when we do build up like that. You can't really see. It's a little bit, the image isn't great, but again, Palmer receives the ball here. One runner, two runner, three runners. Everybody's ready to break that line because the idea is the second that ball's in that pocket, Palmer can whip one first time over the top. And again, this is another chance to score from that exact thing. I think it's Jackson that gets on the end of this one, or like nearly gets on the end of it. But it's the same sort of same thing. It's those patterns that you can see replication that Chelsea are trying to do. Again here, I don't actually know why. Okay, this one's for the over the top ball. Cucurella spots it early. Jackson's gone. I think this is the one where Jackson doesn't quite get there. But again, you're trying to exploit that high line. Here, this one is unbelievable as well. Again, pocket of space. As soon as he gets the ball, Jackson's ready to gamble because he knows that's what they've worked on all week. When that ball goes into Palmer in here, these players are stepping up. They're naturally shifting their body weight forwards towards Palmer. He's drawing players in. And the second that he gets that ball on a dime, straight over the top, Jackson's already going. Jackson's gone. These guys are stagnant or their momentum is forward. Jackson's ready. He's going. That would have been an amazing goal. And just the assist, to pluck that out the sky on a sixpence, put that straight into Palmer, just loft that over. Oh, what a pass. Again, same here, receives the ball. This time he actually looks through the lines to Jackson. We got like literally along the floor, just splitter through the middle of the pitch into Jackson. Again, another great chance. Again, comes deep, finds a beautiful, again, a splitting pass, like from here, between those two players, between the back line. Like, Palmer put on an absolute playmaker clinic goals. And then this one just says it all for me. I mean, this is probably one of my favourite images from the game, just because you've got this sort of like build up here. Casado sort of in that solo pivot. Gusto's actually holding a bit wider. Enzo Palmer, Jackson. Watch how Palmer brings so many players away, and with the slightest movement, he barely has to do anything. Runs away, picks up the ball, and just plays a short pass. Receives it in here. Now you've only got three at the back. They've followed him out. He's worried about Palmer. He's worried about Palmer. Even they're occupied with Palmer. Clever little pass in this gap is what he actually does. I don't have another picture to show it, but clever pass through there, and Chelsea are now attacking with his forward momentum. 1-2-3 versus 1-2-3. And then Enzo and him as well, if you want to include that. So Chelsea can attack with a 5v4. And it was just this all game long where Chelsea were just able to play through the sections, find those overloads, and it was just brilliant. It really was breathtaking. The performance from Palmer mainly, just like I say, first half, the ability to put on a goal-scoring clinic of 4 goals in the first half, break a record, and then come out in the second half and just say, I'm just going to play, mate, now I'm just going to knock the ball about, and I'm just going to take the mick, really. Just absolutely outstanding. So that is basically, let me know if you enjoy that sort of aspect of the stream, by the way, because I was trying to think about how to do it yesterday, and I've sort of like done it in a bit of a slideshow. Maybe I'll start annotating them and put them in there as something to do. But if you enjoy that part of the stream, then we might try and do that for every sort of tactics talk stream. Do a bit on the tactics board, over to some images, and then come back to the tactics board for the end of the stream, answer some questions. If you like that format, please do let me know. We're nearly at half-hour mark. We've got 300 people watching in total, quite a few of them on Twitter. Please do come over to the YouTube if you're on Twitter. Please do drop a like if you're on YouTube and you haven't already. We're at 14 likes. I would love to get this to 50. I would love to get this to 50 likes. That's the aim. Every time we do a tactics talk stream is to get 50 likes on the initial stream, and then hopefully push it to 100 likes when it goes out as a video, because it goes live straight away as a video after the game, after the stream finishes. And as I keep saying as well, I'm trying to aim to hit 100 likes on each of my videos now. That's becoming the new aim. So please do come over, drop a like, drop a sub, all that good stuff. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you. And thank you, Couch Critic. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, because that's a section that I'd like to do more often, is just compile some images and just sort of talk through what we've seen. I think it helps better to, and then we can use the tactic board to sort of describe little bits as well. And like I say, if you haven't already, go check out yesterday's video, because that provides the context of everything we just spoke about in terms of these pockets of space being used, the Brighton high line, little bits like that. Conference League started the week for Chelsea. Yes, this week, yeah. Definitely agree with adding picks in between the tactics board. Helps refresh the moments in the game. Yeah, cool. I agree, Victor. So yeah, for sure. Please, everybody, smash the like. We're on 21 likes. That flew up. So can we get that even higher? No worries, Money Mics, at all. No worries. Just glad you're here. No worries if you're not able to contribute to the chat. The still images are a great help. Cool. Definitely will take that into account if everybody's enjoying that aspect of the stream. 22 likes. Keep them rolling. Keep them rolling. Let's get that to 50. Keep the questions coming in as well. Probably go for another 5 minutes. Answering a few questions, and then I've got to go and get some more work done. Doing some Strasbourg work at the minute. How much would you say Cole Palmer's worth now for Chelsea? I mean, the answer is priceless, isn't it? Really, the answer is priceless. But I don't even know. Yeah, sorry about that, George. I'll try to keep them more often in the evenings. It's just that for now, the time. This is the only bit of time I really had today, because obviously Champions League tonight. Got some work to do before then. Yeah, I've just got a lot to do. So, and then I got the Champions League, and then during the Champions League, I'll be having to take notes, and then after the Champions League game, I have to compile my Champions League work. So, Yeah, this is the only time I really had today, but I will try and keep them to more evenings. But yeah, back to the Palmer. Like, really, for me, he's priceless. But would you say what? Because that's the thing. Like, I think, and I think of a value for you like 150 million, and then I think, realistically, would Chelsea even accept that? Possibly because it's us, right? Because like of how we've been with transfers, and it's such a ridiculous profit. But he genuinely got like superstar. He's just an absolute superstar. I wouldn't sell him at all. How many points do you think Chelsea needs to get through the next round of the Conference League? I really don't know because we're in what's the word they use for that? Uncharted territory in that sense. We don't know because we don't know what the there's no sort of background to go off of for it. So I have no idea. It depends if because obviously you get the top 8, I think, auto qualify, and then it's like the next is it next 16 that could do like a sort of qualifier again. They do like a playoff game. So I'm not sure, but we'll see. I don't. I think we'll be okay either way. What do you think is the reason so many Chelsea fans failed to see what Enzo brings to the team? Because I think it's just they see him as the most immobile, and if he makes like the odd mistake, misses a challenge or something, that's the obvious thing to point out because you can see it with your own eyes quite clearly. And then I think in terms of like what he does bring in terms of creation, those passes, if they don't come out with what's the word I'm looking for? If they don't come out with GA, goals and assists and big chances, then people just forget that happened because again they're comparing him to the De Bruyne numbers of creation, even the Palmer numbers of creation, like those tens. Enzo is like the definition of an 8. He does a bit of everything. I prefer him in these deep zones where he can pick passes through the lines. But like the fact that he can join in the box and he does have a goal in him as well, and he can find a pass in this area and he can find a little dinked cross, and I think his dueling is really underrated. I really do. I think don't get me wrong, he's not the most mobile, but I think he's fine in there as a duelist. I think he wins a good amount of his duels and does well. So it's tough to say why exactly, but yeah, clearly like haven't actually had to sell someone who they don't want sold. Yeah, exactly. We don't know what they'd do. Do you think the chances Brighton conceded from the high line would trouble Hertz too much, given that we only scored the worldie free kick directly from that strategy? Um, yeah, eventually. Again, it depends on which teams you play because sometimes that press will come off, and it does also have to be said. I think that their high line was even worse and even slightly more disjointed because um because they had a few players out as well. So what do you call him? Brain's not working today. The Van Heck, he was out and he's quite good. He's quite important for them in that sense. Did you do any data analysis at uni? Yes, I did. My sort of whole third year was based on data analysis, performance analysis, and all of that. So yeah, that's sort of where my background is. Like I said, I did work with a few people from a few clubs, vice versa, and then decided I wanted to take it to the content table instead of because I could have chosen to just work for one club, and go in that direction. Um, but I just enjoy sort of having the license to talk about the team I support, Chelsea, talk about all types of, and just sort of have that creative freedom to do a little bit of everything. Do you still think we need the Osman profile? Yes, and I think we'll see that more as we play more low blocks that frustrate us 0-0. I mean, nearly against Bournemouth, if Nkunku didn't come on and score, which Nkunku does give you that little bit of extra box presence, but in a different way to like an Osman. So yeah, I do still think we need it eventually. It's still for me the outlying profile in the squad that we don't own. So yeah, and there's the same reason people prefer to watch Chilwell defend to Cuckoo defend. Chilwell never appears to get skinned, but does nothing at the same time. How do you mean? So Enzo's the same like you think Enzo never appears to get skinned, or you think he does get skinned, but then when he does win it, it's a bit more like Cuckoo in the like aggressive fashion. And which way the spectrum do you mean? I think Enzo's that final piece of the puzzle of a great team that we got at an early time. So I think some fans can't see the vision. Yeah, yeah. I think as the season goes on, I think people will start to become more and more sort of intact with what he offers, even if it's not showing necessarily on the numbers. Because he is really important and he brings a ridiculously large skill set that the team does need. It does need. So, going to give it 2 more minutes before we end the stream because, like I said, I do need to get back to some work. We've got 25 likes. Can everybody that is in this stream, everybody that is on YouTube, come over to the stream really quick just before we end and drop a quick like because I really do need, not need, but I'd like to hit 50. And we're 25 off. We're only halfway there. So can everybody really quickly go do that? Where are we? It's from the aggression. So yeah, I get that. Are you worried about Forest's low block, or am I digging into your future content? Maybe digging into a bit of future content. We'll see. But keep an eye on Twitter as well for that, because I might do a little preview on that. Am I worried about a low block? No. Do I think it's going to throw up different challenges and different things that we have to do? Yes. I think against Ghent and Forest, I think we absolutely need to hold more of the ball. I think we need to progress slower. I think we have to slow the tempo down, if anything. Find these 1v1 isolations like early and wide, and again fill the box, and sort of again someone like Sancho is really important against those low blocks with those little creative passes between the lines. Maybe someone like Nkunku coming off the bench, even if he didn't start for Jackson, gives you something a little bit different in terms of how he receives the ball in the box. So it's a different challenge, but I'm not necessarily worried. But we'll touch on that in another video / stream at some point. Big up everyone in the chat. Big up GFC Garvan. Don't know if I've seen you in the chat before. Not sure. There's a few people that I actually don't recognise the names of, like that maybe are new today. So that's always a good sign. You see Tuchel ex-coach on Goldberg stream basically said finishing is irrelevant and it's about getting into position. Wonder if Tuchel thinks the same given Havertz, Werner, ZH, Mount. Yeah, I don't know how much to like. I did see that. I don't necessarily fully agree. I do think it is important. I just think it's it's more about like the mental aspects of finishing, composure, sort of choice, decision making. Like Palmer, something that I think Palmer's so great about. And again, I want to speak about this a lot more on Friday in my Cole Palmer specific video. But I think what Palmer's so great at is his choice of finish and pass is pretty much always immaculate. Like even just his 4th goal at the weekend against Brighton, hard and low to the bottom corner of the near post. For that 4th goal, it's just it's the perfect decision. It's perfectly executed and perfectly chosen. I think he does that more often than not, and I think that's what sets him apart. Is that that elite decision making. Big up Connor, keep it up. Cheers, Couch Critic. You look at West Ham, our old attack. We maybe score 1. Game is far more difficult. Yeah, are you talking about like pretty much the names that you just said? Werner, Ziyech, Mount Havertz. Yeah, I agree. But the balance in that was always a bit off because like if you look at it there, like just those 4 names, yeah, his decision making is absolutely elite. But Werner's the only one that really wants to run in behind. Mount does it to stretch play, and Havertz does it again to stretch play. But like the only one with purpose that wants to get in behind and get and receive the ball on a passing behind is Werner. Ziyech was your creator, but you didn't really have anybody to whip it into in terms of like those little in swingers and those little like passes into the box to receive it. The balance just was very off with that. Whereas the balance in our attacking line now is actually really good. With the additions of sort of Sancho on the left, and again, if you put Neto on the right, Sancho on the left, or you could put Neto on the left, you could even have Madueke on the right, wherever. There's lots of different wing pairings you can go for that make up for a lot of it in terms of balance. 26 likes. Please do drop a like on the stream. We're about to end it here. Basically, all squad building and Tuchel work miracles. Yeah, I think so. I do, and I think this squad reset. We'll end the stream on this little thought, and the reason that I've sort of been so patient, I'd say, with Chelsea, in the last few years is I thought for a while now that we've been covering over cracks. That Champions League, for example, I hold it so dearly because I loved a lot of the players, a lot of the youth grads. Tuchel, probably my second favourite manager of all time now for Chelsea. So much to love about that 2021, but we had no right to win it. The the squad wasn't that level. It's just Tuchel perfectly sort of integrated everything perfectly at the right time. So yeah, that's what we're going to leave it on. Sorry, I was getting a text through and it just threw me off because I'm looking at my phone in front of me. So yeah, we're going to end it there. Fully agree with that. Top content as always. Last title challenge was content. That says it all exactly. Both CL wins. We were not the best team in the competition at all. Part of the culture. Yeah, I agree with that. Peace. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure, if you haven't already, go check out yesterday's video. It's just a little plug section. Yesterday's video. Like this stream. Tomorrow, a hot takes with Matisse, which again I loved recording. Top guy. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that one. Thursday will be a things we learned for Ghent. Friday will be a Cole Palmer video. So all 5 days we'll have content on the channel, all Chelsea related as well. So make sure to smash the like button, drop comments, all that stuff to support the channel. As always, really appreciate every single one of you that has joined the stream today and dropped a like. Cheers, Kelvin. Cheers, Rahoo. I think that's how you say your name anyway. Or Rahoo. Cheers, Adam Medley. Thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you guys next time.